What is going on, beautiful people? I hope you are having a fantastic day. Today we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of living in Lakewood, Colorado. And hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you're interested in learning a little bit more about Denver or maybe some of the surrounding suburbs like Lakewood, like we're talking about today, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell icon for notifications. This way you can be the first to be notified when I come out with a new video that might be relevant to you. So if you're wanting to stay updated on the Denver market and just what's going on, hit that subscribe button. If you don't already know, my name is Michael and I get people reaching out all the time looking to make a move to Denver, some of the surrounding areas. Just give them a little bit of help and some guidance on how to get here, what to do, and just all that stuff. So whether you're making a move in a week, 10 weeks, a year, whatever it may be, my contact info is below, so don't hesitate to reach out. I will be more than happy to assist you in whatever way I can. Whatever move you're making, as smooth as possible. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So if you aren't familiar with Lakewood, Colorado, it's one of the older cities in Colorado. It's the 5th largest actually, with a population of about 156,000 people. So pretty large, and that was from 2020 census, so it's probably a little bit larger right now. That's the most recent data I can pull. And fun fact, it's actually the first place I moved to when I moved to Denver after college. I lived just west of Sloan's Lake, if anybody's familiar. Great lake, they got a nice running trail all the way around. And it's right up the road from Edgewater, which is a tiny little city in between Lakewood and Denver, just kind of like crammed in there. It's like sandwiched, but great place to live, and I enjoyed it. We lived there for about 2 years, so no complaints there. All right, well, let's start with the pros. First pro, and again, this is usually a little bit controversial, but affordable options. So median single family home over there is about $645,000, which is pretty much in line with Denver. So some people might not say that's necessarily affordable. However, there's a wide range of housing options, so you can definitely find places for, in the 500s, maybe even sometimes a little bit less than 500. Lots of options for you, especially if you're willing to find something a little bit older that might need a little bit of work and you want to kind of stay a little bit more central to the city. It's a little bit more affordable. It's a little bit more affordable than some of the other areas throughout Denver that you might look and take a see. The next nice thing about Lakewood is it's relatively close to Denver. I mean, it's pretty much neighbors. So depending on where you're at in Lakewood, because Lakewood's actually, it's quite big, but depending on where you're at, you can kind of just hop on the road and get to Denver relatively quickly. I guess it depends on where you're going to in Denver, but compared to a lot of the other suburbs in Denver, Lakewood's probably going to be one of your best bets in terms of living real close to Denver to commute, but not living in Denver. The next thing we're going to talk about is the proximity to the mountains. You're kind of in a nice spot between Denver and the mountains. So if you're someone that is planning on going up the mountains, doing a lot of hiking, stuff like that, you're gonna have a pretty easy time getting to the mountains. You're gonna beat some of that traffic just because you have a little bit head start on everybody else through Denver. So it just makes it a little bit easier if you're planning on spending a lot of time in the mountains. If you're into camping, hiking, fishing, mountain biking, all sorts of stuff, and then maybe in the winter, a little skiing, snowboarding, stuff like that. Not a bad spot to set up home base and go from there. The next really nice thing about Lakewood is it has a ton of restaurants, lots of breweries. So, I mean, you are not gonna have to go far to get some good food. There's lots of little shopping malls that have all sorts of eateries and lots of local family-owned restaurants. So food is absolutely delicious, and you're not gonna have to go far to find something. And actually, real quick, a fun little story. When my wife and I moved to Denver, we were unloading everything, unloading the U-Haul, and we were just, busting it out. We finished maybe 10:30 at night, something like that, and we were starving. We didn't have any food because we didn't go to the grocery store yet. The only place that was open was this place called Los Carboncitos, and to this day, it's still the best tacos I've found in Denver. So if you're looking for some recommendations on some tacos, Los Carboncitos, they have 2 or 3 locations, and they're all the exact same. Very spicy if you like that kind of stuff. So highly recommend it if you like some good tacos. And if you know somewhere better, let me know, please. I love tacos. Yeah, just let me know. If you tell me Taco Bell, I'm gonna ignore you. Another really cool thing about Lakewood is you're really close to a lot of the sporting event centers. I remember when we used to live over in Lakewood that people would actually walk to the Broncos Stadium during the games. Usually it's pretty nice out that time of year. When it's a little colder, not necessarily, but you park maybe half mile, 2 miles away, somewhere in between there, just free parking, and you just walk to the game, and there's usually like a streamline of Broncos fans of just orange and white going all the way to the stadium, and then same thing when they go back home. So you're relatively close to the sporting events, and you know, some of the other baseball, not too far. It's not a very far drive. So if you're planning on going to a lot of sports, not a bad spot for you either. And last but not least, I'm going to talk about Casa Bonita. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's been made pretty popular by the TV show South Park, and that is where it is. It's right off of Colfax in Lakewood, and it really is amazing. If you've never been, I highly recommend it. They actually had it shut down for a few years to kind of renovate it. The owners of South Park actually bought it and put a lot of money into it. But I went last summer and it was amazing. Food 10 times better than it used to be, and that was like the #1 complaint. Entertainment's beyond amazing. I don't know if they did it better than they used to, or I just hadn't gone a long time and I was just taking it all in again for a second time. And the sopapillas are still great. I will say that the feel from the original Casa Bonita to the new one is a little bit different, but I wouldn't say it's a bad feeling. It's just different. So if you haven't already gone, or you haven't gone back since they reopened, highly recommend it. I know there's kind of a waiting list going on, so get on that and just get there as soon as you can. Just try it out. Some people, it's not their thing. I personally enjoyed it, so take that for what it is, and yeah, hopefully you can go and experience it for yourself. All right, now on to the negatives about Lakewood. I will say all three of these are very similar and they kind of tie into each other, but I kept them separate because they're all each individual problem, and you might have one problem but not the other two. So yeah, let's just get into it. The first one, it's a busy area and it can be really crowded. If you're going up and down Colfax, you're gonna see a lot of people out, lots of cars. It's not a very wide road, and the road in certain areas not super well taken care of. So if you're driving east on Colfax, you're gonna wanna stay kind of in the middle lanes, because the ones that are getting close to the sidewalk are kind of filled with potholes, in some areas at least, and it's just not very fun to kind of just hit that pothole like multiple times. So especially with people all along the sidewalk, it's not a great feeling when they're 2 inches from the road and you're just bouncing along. It's not a good feeling. It's a little scary. So I'd stay in the middle lane just to kind of give yourself a little peace of mind. But it's like that in all areas throughout Lakewood. Obviously, like not every area is going to be like that, but a lot of the main roads are going to be just packed with people, packed with cars. The parks are usually filled with people, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But if you're trying to go and find some, peace and quiet where nobody's at the park, you're probably not going to find that. All right, the next thing is that it just feels stuffy. Everything just feels really close, and it's not necessarily the people. I mean, that definitely adds to it, but it just feels like like if you're a little claustrophobic, you're gonna be like, man, I don't have enough space over here. Everything's built really close together, and there's just people everywhere. Lots of cars. Streets have cars, parked all up and down, especially in the neighborhoods. I mean, you're not gonna have a great time finding street parking. It's not impossible, but it's just a little bit more crammed and packed than some of the other areas throughout Denver. And it's pretty obvious when you go through that. So it's just one of those feelings. It's not necessarily that it's busy, it just feels stuffy. And the last con that I'm gonna talk about is the traffic. And yeah, again, they're all kind of tied together, but Lakewood's a very old area, so the streets aren't necessarily designed to be used in the manner that it is now with how many people are there. So you have a lot of 2-lane going each way, and it's just not enough to keep traffic flowing as nice as you want it to. If you're going around work time, rush hour, in the morning, at night, you're gonna have a lot of bumper to bumper just getting through stoplights, just because everyone's trying to get to work and it's not very efficient the way the roads are set up. So you're gonna be sitting in traffic a little bit. If you do end up moving there, I would try and figure out a way to kind of get around the traffic, maybe take some side streets, or just take a little bit different route that maybe not everybody else uses. I tell you, I lived there for about 2 years, and usually shortly after you find which roads are being used heavily and which ones aren't. So, if you need to get here and this is the main road, you're just gonna go like this. It'll be a little bit easier. You're gonna save everybody one less car from being on the road, and it's gonna be a little bit more, it's not gonna be as mentally painful getting to work every day. So Lakewood isn't perfect, but it does have a lot of great things going for it, and that's why so many people do live there. It's a very nice area. A lot of people love living in Lakewood, especially just with the convenience of Denver and being in the mountains. So, if that's something you're looking for, maybe it might be for you. I'd say you just kind of have to weigh your what you really need, what you're looking for in a spot, and kind of go from there. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you maybe found some of the information helpful or just insightful. If you did, leave a like below. And don't forget, if you are planning on moving here, or maybe you're just thinking about it and you have some questions, don't hesitate to contact me. My information is below. More than happy to help you with whatever questions you have or just any transition you're trying to make to get to Denver. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.